Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Jonesing for Wins. I'm Craig Havens, your host, and with me, typically as always, is Jonathan Almanzar. Today we're going to talk about the game that happened where the Bears visited the Cowboys. The Bears scored 29 against us. The Cowboys scored 49. Big defensive game as we thought. Really didn't turn out that way, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to give out our Glory Hole Award. We're going to talk about some upcoming things. No game next week, so we'll have one next week for the upcoming game against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. Jonathan, we're going to start with you, but before we do, I do want to I want to talk about one thing. Last week, I said the Cowboys were going to start off the first half real strong. I want a point for that. I'm not keeping score. I know you are. I want a
No,
point for that. They started off strong. They have not started off strong this year. I want a point for this.
no, because that's so subjective.
They
We have to
started
give
off
objective.
strong. They got most of their points in the first half.
Strong is relative. Strong is relative. They actually weren't that strong. If they had been strong, they would have pushed the defense down the field. Dak would have lifted them up and carried it in. Instead of running a quarterback sneak for 26 yards, he would have broke that final tackle if we're talking about strength and ran it in.
I want a
So I don't
point.
think that they were necessarily strong. So I don't see giving any points for that because that is completely a subjective thing. That would be like me saying, I want a point because I said that uh, the little boy was going to call some good plays this week.
I would have given
How
you
do
a
we
point
know?
for that, but you didn't take it. So, nope.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Whatever. All right. So, why don't you just tell us what you think about this week's game?
Yeah, I
Give me an
think I
update,
think that,
and you better not say that we started out strong because that'll piss me off. Go ahead.
what if I say we started out on fire?
Pretty much strong for me. Go ahead.
So so if I was going to name this game, I would name it the barely legal game because they almost took it away from us, that referee, with his terrible, terrible, terrible call. And I think I honestly think, I'm not just saying this, I really think, because we have some people that are connected to people who are connected to the Cowboys. I really think the little boy listened to our show because there were two things that we said
I think it's clear.
that happened. One, I said, why do we never quarterback sneak anymore? We never quarterback sneak. What happened? Twice we quarterback snuck the ball. Also, I said, why are they never run Turpin in the backfield? Why is it always that Tolbert guy or
There you go.
somebody else or a tight end that we're running a reverse to? What did they do? Twice they ran it to Turpin. And the other thing I said is, I just want to see Dak run once in a while, just like, play action fake and run it right off the bat. They did that. And I think that the little boy had his little birdie listening to us who got back, reported back to him and said, these aren't bad ideas.
I think the little boy watches us. I don't think it's a little bird
Yeah,
telling him.
that
I
gets too
think.
creepy to me. That gets too creepy thinking about that. So I don't want to think about that. But
Well,
I
I have said that they play us during the week. That they put us
yeah,
up on their screens across there
yeah,
while they
something happened
practice.
because I thought the offensive play calling in the first half and the second half even. I thought the play calling was very good. I knew my dad was texting me and I almost texted him pick right before the halftime when we didn't kneel it down. But
Did you want to kneel down though?
mm-hmm,
You really did.
mm-hmm.
I had no desire to kneel down. I
I've,
was all about making that play
I'm
happen.
I'm never that way, but after that call from the ref, I thought we should just go into the locker room happy.
Yeah, that was a terrible call, and it cost us. And I'll tell you, I was furious about it. But we'll get to that as we go. Numbers wise, I mean, so I'm going to take back everything I've said about the numbers so far this year. Dak was 21 of 27. Remember when I was saying that we never do less than 31
Yeah,
attempts with Dak? We're doing that. 21 to 27, 250 yards. Now he's doing a lot better than um, Cooper was. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Quarterback rating of 93.8. Pollard had a great game. and I'm not taking back what I said about Pollard and Zeke. I'm sticking to that. I get that Pollard had a great game, 14 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9.4 yards per carry. I I still think we are better with both these running backs in there.
So obviously, because even like Pollard did have an amazing game, but it's obvious he can't carry the load. Like even when Zeke's out, he carries the ball 14 times. They had some guy Davis that I've never heard of
Yep,
running back. They had CeeDee Lamb back in the backfield.
one
So
carry. Yeah, he had
you,
one carry for 1 yard.
I think the best thing that we do is is keep the timeshare going with the two of them.
Yeah,
Keep
I agree.
Pollard fresh and ready to blast it. Zeke back there to block and pick up the tough yards. And I think it's great. I don't think we should run Pollard into the ground and get him hurt too.
Little boy, if you're listening, we're going with both. That's our game plan moving forward.
Hey,
Uh,
can I say something real quick about
yeah,
Dak
yeah.
before we're going? So I want this to be the last time I and maybe us mention Cooper Rush on the show, but I do think Dak makes throws that Cooper Rush could never make.
I agree.
And he makes runs that Cooper Rush could never make. And even if he's throwing the ball 27 times is all, there are 27 better throws than Cooper Rush. Those 27 throws of Dak were better than any 27 throws you pick from Cooper Rush. And I think that it's just such a major difference. Like I'm fine with the play calling right now. I think at some point we're going to have to open it up a little bit, but I want to express thank you, Cooper Rush, for not screwing it up.
Yes, I'm with you on that, and I agree with you on all of that. Dak accounted for 3 touchdowns, one rushing. Well, we'll get into the rushing. One rushing, two through the air. So there is a difference. There is a difference. So rushing, Dak was the other one with 5 carries, 34 yards, and like I said, CD had 1 yard on one carry. Lamb, as far as receiving, five receptions, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. Schultz had 6 for 74 yards. I don't. Yeah, we did have. Yeah, Gallup had 4 receptions for 49 yards. Do you remember Gallup having 4 receptions?
Yes, because they're the first 4 plays of the game, which is another thing I wanted to bring up in my whole the little boy talks to it, listens to us, because we kept saying, where did Gallup play? I wanted to give Gallup the glory hole, but he didn't even exist. And in this game, right off the bat, they're like, Gallup,
But
Gallup,
they did.
Gallup, Gallup, no more.
But he vanished again.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? So, and then Pollard had 1 for 16, and a couple other people here or there. Defense had 4 sacks and should have had an interception had we not had a really terrible. I'm sorry, that was a terrible call. That was not a roughing the passer. That was a horrible call.
He didn't even touch his head. They kept saying anytime you hit them in the head, and then they start saying the head and neck area. Since when was it neck area? And head, neck, collarbone, and upper pec area.
Right, or if you get into the stomach area, the abdomen, the hips.
You just got to be smarter than that. You got to play in control. You can't jump. What do you think this is basketball? This is football.
What are you going to do by jumping anyways? What do you think you're going to knock down the ball? It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
So, with all that, I honestly think we did okay, numbers wise, defensively. It seemed like we had. I mean, when you looked at numbers, 4 sacks. I wanted more. Is it sad that I'm actually disappointed when we have only 4 sacks?
Not at all. Like I wanted more as well. I really wanted Micah to get one.
I know. Well, he did get the touchdown return. Your video has stopped on us. So he did get a touchdown return. I think it was 32 yards. Is that correct?
Yep.
And that was good to see. But it's funny because a lot of our guys that have been bringing on the numbers weren't bringing on the numbers so much today, and I'm kind of excited that we got all this without having bigger numbers.
Well, Williams didn't even play, right? He was hurt.
That's a good question.
My newly adopted son was hurt.
Yeah, so I didn't see him. So yeah, I didn't see him.
But that touchdown by Micah Parsons, he ran 90 something yards on that touchdown. What is amazing is he's the one that put the pressure on Fields, and then he was the one that recovered the ball. And then Fields jumps over the top of him like an idiot. And then he ran it back for a touchdown. I thought that was an amazing play. And you're starting to see the rest of the Cowboys act like that. Like
Right.
even Fowler, you're seeing him chasing people down. They all heard everybody buzzing about Micah Parsons chasing that guy down, and now they're all doing the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
infectious.
Well, I'll tell you what. You saw Micah Parsons run that down, right? Because he was in the backfield, nearly hit Fields
Yeah.
before the play happened, before the fumble. Got down there, picked up the fumble. Yeah, and Fields. I'm sorry. I like Fields. I like him a lot, but you have to know you got to touch somebody. Like
Yeah.
you can't. You don't. At least drag your toe over him. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. As far as their numbers went, Justin Fields had 17 for 23, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. So that wasn't a poor performance. Zero interceptions. It was a quarterback rating of 72.4. Um, Herbert had 16 carries, 99 yards, 1 touchdown, 6.2 yard average. Fields had 8 carries for 60 yards. There goes your
was
shooting
close.
stars. Yeah, it was. 60 yards, 1 touchdown, 7.5 average. Montgomery, which by the way, I'm going to stop myself here. I think that has become one of our issues. I think we need to really rushing quarterbacks seem to do pretty decent against us, and it's starting to drive me a little bit nuts.
Yeah.
Your video, I don't know if your video is showing on yours, is not on. But
It's on.
then Montgomery had 15 carries. There you go. 15 carries, 53 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3.5 average. I honestly think that Herbert or Herbert or however you pronounce his name is a better running back than Montgomery. Am I wrong?
I didn't honestly. I wasn't impressed by either one of them. Like I just was like, eh.
Oh. Not, well, I guess it's not like we watched a lot of Bears games out.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, receiving Mooney, 5 receptions, 70 yards, 0 touchdowns. N'Keal Harry had 2 receptions, 24 yards. Not a lot of production by them for.
I was getting ready to say, I know they scored 29 points, but that was so boring just now. And I don't know if it's
I'm with you. I don't even finish reading the stat line because it is. It's like not 100-yard receiver. You're kind of going, what happened here? Where is everyone?
Even their stats are boring. Their orange jerseys are boring. Everything about them is boring.
I could not take those. Why does everyone play dumb colors against us? The Washington Commanders uniforms were terrible.
I thought we were watching a Broncos practice session or something. I was like, this is disgusting. What's going on here? But yeah, I don't know if there's a more boring team in the NFL than the Bears.
Yeah.
And then they traded their linebacker.
Yeah, Raekwon Smith. I wouldn't be surprised if we got, it's one of the questions I'm going to ask you, but we got 2 hours, a little over 2 hours till the deadline. We'll get to I'm gonna get your idea if you have any thoughts on trades that you'd like to see. All right, so our scores. You picked 24-6.
Okay.
I went with the full-blown shutout, 31-0, and Mike went 24-17. None of us were even close. I mean, Mike was probably closest, 29-40.
I was closest. Cowboys won by 20 points. I had them winning by 18.
I had them winning by 31.
Yeah, but I was only 2 points off of what they
You're not getting a point for this. I don't care. No.
Yeah, no, that's a point.
No.
It's a competition. It's the closest to getting it correct. And I was
No.
I should maybe even get 2 points because I was
twice as close to the Cowboys score.
But you were way off on the Bears score. No,
you were way off on the Bears score.
But I was the closest to the difference.
It's not a point differential thing. No. See, this is the problem with our competition.
Point differential.
This is our problem with our competition is you're like, I'm done with you.
Well, okay. So this is the deal. You get to set the agendas for the podcast. I get to set the agendas for the points. So it's 6.5 to 2.5
Oh,
right now.
I got you. So you're in charge of the points.
Well, but we also know that there's some big points coming at the end of the season when the Falcons aren't the worst team in the NFL and neither are the Browns.
Well, that's true. What happened there? We'll get into that. Our seeing stars. You had Dak rushes for more than Fields. Didn't happen.
Very close. Very close.
You're up by, what, 30, 40 yards?
18. 42 to 60, right?
No, oh yeah, you might be right.
I don't know. I just was
Yeah.
going off of what you said.
Dak had rushing yards. He had 34, so no. 34 to 60.
34. And how many did Fields have?
Fields had 60.
So he had 26 more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said,
but if you take the sacks off of their rushing
yards and pass, what?
If you take the sacks off of their rushing yards,
Mike said Bears have a 100-yard receiver. He'd probably be the closest.
What did you say?
I said that Fields would have more rushing yards than he would have passing yards.
Yeah. Well,
we're all nearby, but not there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just jump right into this. We all saw the game. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty good performance by the Cowboys. There was some things that we need to work on. I still think one of our problems is that a mobile quarterback has to be. We've got to do a better job of spying on him, of containing him. But that's that. All that stuff said, let's talk about the glory hole. You want to go first, or you want me?
Already?
Oh yeah, no, I'm jumping right in. This game,
okay.
The game is as much as we scored and as much that happened. It's kind of like you said. It was kind of boring. It didn't. None of it had me feeling like, wow, I got to bring up this point during the nothing. I mean, I wasn't much except.
So I have several nominations. So can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
My first nomination is that Amin, whatever his name is, the little tiny announcer.
Yeah.
That was with Moose Johnson.
Why? So before you go, I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
What? And it's most networks now are doing this, where they take their best commentator and they put them with their worst, and it's driving me nuts because I'm not a big fan of most of them, but it's ruining it. This was rough. This was painful. Did you watch the Giants game? The Giants game was worse yet.
No, I didn't watch it.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. But one, he could have fit in Moose Johnson's pocket. Like, he was the smallest guy I've ever seen. Like, he was like a kebab. Like, they brought out a kebab. But he kept using the word shan't, and he kept using it incorrectly, because shan't is shall not, which is future tense. But he kept saying he went for it on 4th down and he shan't get it. No, the play already happened. So you say he didn't get it, which is past tense. So I was really thinking about nominating him for the glory hole because he completely misuses the English language. Trying to be cool, he was even dumber. Okay, that's the first. Second person I wanted to nominate by the end of the game was whoever our trainer is, because we just kept having person after person hopping and hobbling off the field. Dak gets his hand step on. Some guys crawling off. I mean, it just felt like which I'm really glad we're having the bye week now, because we had so many little bumps and bruises, and I'm sure they're all going to come off as soft tissue injuries. So that's my second. So far it's Amin, it's the trainer. Emmitt Smith. Dude, when he got in there and started talking, we started playing terrible. I was like, get him out of here. Like, we only 3 out of the game was when Emmitt Smith when Emmitt Smith is in the booth. That was the only time. 4, the graphics person for the game, they completely embarrassed me in front of my son. I'm sitting there telling Jacob, the Cowboys have a really good defense. Then boom, up pops a graphic where the Cowboys are the 29th ranked defense in the NFL. And he's like, really?
Wait, what? 29th ranked?
Yes. And I was like, "There's no way they're putting up the wrong graphic." And he's like, This is a major network. They're not going to be putting up the wrong. You think they made a whole incorrect graphic?" And I'm like,
I didn't
"Yes,
even see
yes."
this.
And he's like, "Who knows more about football, you or the Fox team that owns the rights to the football game?" And I was like, "It doesn't matter. They're wrong." Then later on, they came on and said the Bears had the 29th ranked defense. So I was so mad at that guy because he made me look like a fool. But I can't get past the stupid referee. I hate him. This is what I think about this referee.
Oh, he's fired. He's out. They should have. And honestly, during that call, I wanted to call you up and see if we could get an announcement made to have him booted, to have him just gone, because I guarantee you he would have been ousted.
Yeah,
National
yeah.
televised people, the crowd at the stadium, you, me, and our 18 listeners all would have
He better
said,
be good.
get him out.
He better be glad he chose this football, American football, rather than world football. Because
Oh,
you remember in Colombia when they like beheaded that guy for making a bad call and then carried it around on a pole, his head, like we were in ancient Rome. Oh my gosh. He chose the right football to be terrible at refereeing.
he did. So,
How about you?
well, it was a good game all around. I wasn't so annoyed with the commentators. I did have somebody watching it with me, so I didn't pay attention to the graphics that went up. I didn't tell them that it was what a great defense we had, and saw the bad graphics. In fact, I wanted to turn the volume down just because, and I like listening to Moose, but you're right. The little guy that he was with, what's his name?
A mean something.
Yeah. Anyways, he was killing it for me. So, but I'm not putting them in. I'm not, because I don't believe we should be putting all the commentators in. However, uh, Van Der Esch missed coverage on one, and it killed me. And I was putting him in, and it wasn't much later that play happened. The referee, where I couldn't get past it. I didn't even want to watch. I want to watch the game. I'm watching any game, but when he called that, I immediately downloaded his picture. There he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. Holy.
Yep.
Yep, that's him. He's gonna stay there. I
Yeah.
I was infuriated by that. I was watching this with a Giants fan who also thought it was a bad call. It was a bad call.
Wow.
It was
It
a
was.
bad call.
It's amazing that he wasn't blowing his whistle in that picture that you found of him.
I could have photoshopped out the whistle.
Blowing the whistle.
Yeah, that was terrible, and it didn't change the game, but it did change the game. I mean, I think that made a big difference in the game. I mean, clearly they went down and scored after that. Um, but yeah,
I just thought of what they should do when a ref makes a bad call. They should then give them those slide whistles, and they have to use slide whistles the rest of the game. Like that kind of thing. No one would take them serious after that. Be like, "Oh, you screwed up, huh? You got to blow the slide whistle."
I like your first idea. Just get him out. Have the guy who's behind him just step in, take his place, and be done. So, Glory Hole is done. And I know we don't really have time in that time, we have time for anything we want to do because this is what we do. But I know we don't really get into our next game because our next game is against nobody because it's bye week. But allow me, can we talk about the Packers just a little bit? Can we talk about where they are and what they're doing and just
Yeah.
so I'm listening to the radio this morning and they're talking about the Packers and the issues they're having. And they started out by talking about how this is not the defense's fault. But every time there's a problem in a game, they go back and talk about removing the defensive coordinator. But it's not the defense's fault because the offense is putting them in that spot. And
The whole team's
the
terrible. Yeah.
offense could have done a lot better, blah, blah, blah. And he was right. He was 100% right. And then the other guy mentioned something. And he's like, well, It's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. I mean, Aaron Rodgers played a terrific game this week, and Aaron Jones played an outstanding game this week. Well, whose fault is it? Like, Aaron Rodgers, nobody wants to say he's. I mean, he's a disaster this year. Am I wrong? I mean, what's he's doing shrooms on
What
the
I
off season. He's calling out his players. It's actually he's actually I can't take him
what I want to know is why does he get such a pass?
on everything.
He gets a pass.
He's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. Everybody's got him in the Hall of Fame. I
No,
don't think he's that
people
terrific
talk about him being the best.
ever.
People talk about him being the best quarterback ever.
Yeah,
Yeah, with one Super Bowl appearance.
I wouldn't put him above Eli Manning. I wouldn't put him above Peyton Manning.
I
I
put him
wouldn't put him
above
above.
Eli Manning.
Huh? You would put him above
I'd put him
Eli
above
Manning? I
Eli,
wouldn't put him above
yeah,
Eli Manning. I have a new
but I
respect for
wouldn't put
Eli
him above
Manning
Drew
watching
Brees.
Monday Night Football with him.
Yeah, I would put him above Drew Brees. I mean, I wouldn't put him above Drew Brees. I would not.
I was gonna say I wouldn't either. No,
Yeah,
I think he's a good quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't have hated him if the Cowboys had him, but I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's the best in recent years, let alone the best in history. I mean, that annoys me. So
yeah.
I just wanted to
Well,
get that off my chest. We'll talk more about that stuff next
we
week when we get ready for that. But I just wanted to find out if I'm the only one in the world that thinks that Aaron Rodgers is not who. You want to crown him? Crown him. But I'm not crowning him. All right. So trade deadline's coming up in a couple hours. Is there a trade you'd like to see the Cowboys make?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, there's several. I mean, we don't need another defensive lineman, but I would always be happy to get Bradley Chubb.
I would too.
You
Yeah, I
know,
couldn't
that
argue
would
that.
be pretty amazing. Somebody else is on the trade block. I just saw a defensive end. Can't remember who. We don't have to trade for this person, but I know you're not for it, but I'm for Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I'm not really
I'm
for
for
him.
it.
And you're right. We don't have to trade for him. I mean, I would accept him. I think he's overrated. I think that one catch made him
Yeah,
like a superhero.
I,
And don't get me wrong,
I think.
it was an amazing catch, but it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think he's an amazing elite receiver.
I think we should trade for Amari Cooper.
I would actually be in for that. I would
Give
totally be
give
in
up a
for it.
second and third round pick. Give up a second and third round pick for Amari Cooper.
It would be nice to get a receiver in.
Yeah, no, I think a receiver. I can't really like. I don't have a lot of things that I know what I would, but we just did. We just traded for Hankins, but I'd like to get some big, fat, angry guy just to sit
Sit in
in
the
the
middle.
middle.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
occupy space. We'll name him
Why didn't
Jabba
we
the
go
Hutt.
after Roquan?
The
Why
Hutt.
didn't we go after Roquan Smith? Can you imagine?
I don't know why we didn't. It would have been nice. Yeah. I mean, we were right there. We could have talked to him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
How about you? Is there
I,
anybody you're wanting?
honestly, there's nobody I'm specifically targeting. I'd like to see the Cowboys make some moves. We can use some receiver help. I think we can. I don't. I mean, our front line right now, I'm satisfied with. I mean, they're talking about Jason Peters not being around much longer. I think he's good for teaching these kids on the front line, but I think our front line's doing well. I think our defense. Yes, I'd love to get a good, solid defensive tackle. Um, but other than that, I think wide receiver and maybe I can't even say. I was gonna say cornerback, but I mean, what's his name? Duran came in.
Land.
Yeah, he came in and did pretty well. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, can we trade for a coach? Maybe we can make a
Yeah.
trade with the Saints and pick up. No.
Yeah.
What point? Next question. What point do you become satisfied keeping Mike? We win a Super Bowl. We get to the championship game, and maybe a catch that's supposed to be a catch is deemed not a catch, so we don't make it, and Aaron Rodgers makes his next appearance. But what is it? What makes you say, you know what? let's give him a chance. Let's keep Mike McCarthy in.
I To me, he's Barry Switzer. I don't know that there would be a time when I'd be like, I'm glad this guy's our coach.
I'm with you. I was just asked that. How do you feel about Barry Switzer? About how do you feel about Mike
Mike
McCarthy?
McCarthy.
I'm not a fan. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't get it out of my mind, that stupid massage thing, and that kills me. But we're
Yeah.
doing well. But I don't think. I think we're going to do what we always do, and that is we are going to do well. We're going to get to the playoffs, and we're going to stop. And that's where I get infuriated. I feel like I've wasted.
Yeah.
It's like watching. It's like watching a TV series, and you binge watch it, and you get to the end, and like you find out that they canceled the last season, and there's
Yeah.
all this openness, and you're like, I just wasted all of that time.
What bothers me about him is you could tell me either one of these things were true and I would believe you. That he's completely hairless, like that Mike McCarthy has no hair, or that he's as hairy as a bear. And I would believe either one of those. I could, if they were like,
Where do you
his
come up
shirts, you
with
have to get
this?
his shirt 2 sizes too big just to get over his hair and button it up. Like, I would believe either one. I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. I could see him being hairless and getting cream rubbed on him when he's getting his massages, or I could see him super burly hairy and he's just like,
Cream's got to be rubbed into that
either one.
burly hair.
Yeah. 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 Either one.
I am happy to say I've never ever thought about Mike McCarthy's body
Okay. Which one though do you think now? Which do you picture him as?
hair.
Completely hairless or
Totally hair.
completely hairy like a bear?
Hairy as a bear. Hairier than a bear, yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I went on a sales call one day, and I was with my manager, and I consider myself a good salesperson, but I got there, and I just stared at the guy. And my my boss took over the sales call. And after the call, he's like, "What? What was that? What happened?" And this is what I figured Mike McCarthy to be. So I I was dumbfounded. So I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, did you see? Because we went to a casino, and it's a long story, but anyways, the guy was wearing a polo shirt, and he had hair coming out of his neck, and it was just flowing with the fan that was going on. And he had no
Oh
hair on top of his
man.
head, no beard. So all this hair was just like moving around out here. It was so
Oh.
distracting. I didn't know what to say. I was like hypnotized by it. That's Mike McCarthy. So that's probably why him shaving his beard upsets me so much, because
Right.
now that's all I'll ever see. So Mike, if you're listening,
Yeah.
grow back your beard. Make sure you shave your neck. I
Yeah.
don't know if you do, but please do. We're good. All right. Whoop. So, all right. So next podcast, I think what we're gonna, and I'm not done yet, but next podcast, I think we should go over. Um, we talked about it a little bit. Go over the divisions, where they're at now, where we thought they'd be at the beginning of the year. Kind of revisit our picks and stuff like that. Um,
Okay.
and then maybe we can pick for our winners for next week's for the week 9 games.
Okay.
Seem fair?
Sounds good.
All right, good.
Are we gonna pick anything of we waiting for the Green Bay game scores and all that till next week?
Yeah, next week will be the Green Bay scores, but we're still going to do our power rankings, and we're still going to do our out of power ranking. So with that said, let's talk power rankings. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Sure. Go for it.
Me? All right. I did change mine a little bit. It was hard to change, but it wasn't that hard. I still keep the Bills on top. I still keep the Eagles on top. Wasn't going to, but I did. And then I did bump Kansas City out, only because I think this team is kind of playing and nobody's talking about them. It's the Vikings.
Don't tell me the Vikings.
It's the Vikings. Nobody's talking about them. I don't care. Nobody's talking about them, and they just sit there. And you know what they keep doing? They keep winning. And
They
we got to
keep
play
lucking
them.
out. Yeah.
We got to play them. So this is our opportunity. If you're listening, Cowboys, this is our opportunity to put ourselves back in the power rankings for me, because the Vikings are going to sit there until we play them in 3 weeks. So I've got Bills, followed by Eagles, followed by Vikings, and I'm not knocking on the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm not saying. I'm saying basically my statement to America today is that the NFC is better than the AFC.
Who who the Vikings lose to?
They lost to the Eagles.
There was a couple. Didn't shouldn't have they lost to a couple teams and they kicked a field goal like in
Are
the
they winning?
last second, or a team
Are they
did
winning?
something terrible and yeah.
Are they winning?
All right.
I know you changed yours
I'm
because I think you had the Giants in yours, and I know you're not going to put them in there now.
I'm gonna go number one is Buffalo, I guess. I I think they're good. I don't think they're gonna go to the Super Bowl though. I think they're gonna lose in the playoffs.
You know, I have to agree with you. They just don't seem to. It's like the Cowboys. They seem to be able to be on top, but not finish.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Um no, that's fine. Yeah, I agree. I think that my number two team is Kansas City Chiefs. I think they will go to the Super Bowl. And my number three team is your Dallas Cowboys.
So you didn't change at all. You actually didn't have the Giants last week. It was the week before you had the Giants.
So
You
I
have
would,
Bills, Kansas City Cowboys last week.
yeah, and that's same this week. And if I were going to carry this out to five teams, I think I would put Seattle four and Philadelphia five.
Is it crazy? I mean, when we started before the season, we
I
talked about
know,
the worst team in the NFL, and
I
it
know,
was stupid that we hadn't said Seattle. We
yeah,
we talked about Seattle, but neither one of us picked them.
right,
But they're not, and not even close. They'll win
I
that
know,
division, and
yeah.
it kills you. It is so.
Isn't
But good for him. I'm happy for Gino.
isn't it amazing how terrible the AFC and NFC South are? I know we're going to talk about this next week. I
Yeah.
mean, in our next podcast. So I'll stop now.
All right.
But
Good.
so out of power.
Out of power. So out of power. I wanted to put in the Bengals, but I honestly don't think they're going to fall apart. I think it was a division game. I think it happens. They lost the division game. I don't think they're out of power yet. I still think they come back and win that division over the Ravens. I do. I still think the Ravens are out of power. I wanted to say New York Giants because you didn't watch the game, you said, but man, they were boring. They were as boring as watching the Bears.
Did you see that little picture I sent you of the two quarterbacks, Daniel Jones
No,
versus Jalen Hurts?
no.
Okay, I have to I need to read you this real quick. You can keep talking about who your
All
out
right.
of power is.
So I was gonna say the New York Giants, but I can't call it because their schedule actually gets pretty easy still. Their next game is against Houston coming into town into the Giants, so they're not out of power yet. They may not run out of power. I did end up going with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona was in the thick of everything in their division. All they had to do was win, and they could have beat my new team on the power rankings, but they lost. And I gotta say that to me puts them right out of playoffs.
Yeah.
Going with the
Yeah,
Arizona Cardinals, I think they had a shot, and I think that this was a must-win game for them. They didn't. Their schedule gets tough. They've got division games. I think the next three games. I don't see it going easy for them. So
yeah,
my out of power team, your Arizona Cardinals, not yours, but
yeah. Someone's.
someone.
So let me tell you this real quick
Yeah,
about the Giants.
yeah,
Daniel Jones versus Jalen Hurts.
yep.
Passing yards. One of them had this was prior to this Sunday.
Uh
Okay. So
oh.
this was Saturday.
Yep.
One of them had 1,500 passing yards. The other one had 1,200 passing yards. Which do you think had 1,500? Which had 12?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to say 1,500 was Daniel Jones, 1,200 was.
No, it was Jalen. Jalen had 300
Okay.
yards passing more on the season than Daniel Jones.
All right.
One of them had 6 passing touchdowns. The other one had 6 passing touchdowns. One of them had 2 interceptions. The other one had 2 interceptions. One of them had 343 rushing yards. The other had 293 rushing yards. Who do you think had 343 rushing yards?
Actually, Daniel Jones. I really
Daniel
do
Jones.
believe it was Daniel Jones. Yep.
One of them has a 62.7 QBR. The other has 59.1. Daniel Jones, 62.7.
Huh.
One of them has 6 rushing touchdowns. The other one, however, has 5 game-winning drives.
Oh, well, 5 game winning drives I see all the time is Jalen Hurts. No, it's not. It's it's
Jones.
Daniel Jones. Yeah. Yep.
One of them's an MVP candidate. The other's called a game manager. It just shows you what narrative does and drives, because
That's really
Jalen Hurts
interesting.
isn't having an MVP season, but everybody will say, well, he's having an MVP year. I bet you Geno Smith's statistics blow his away.
Yeah. Those, other than the rushing, sound like Cooper Rush numbers. I'm not knocking on Cooper Rush. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they all sound like managing a game, other
Yeah.
than the rushing.
So my out of power team actually is Cincinnati. I think until Jamar Chase comes back, they're in trouble.
It's a big hurt.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble.
What if
And
they
their
trade?
defense. What's that?
They could make a trade. They could get Judy.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't want Judy. I wouldn't want on our team Judy.
Oh, I'm not asking to trade for Judy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a big long soliloquy about them. I just think that they're out of power. I honestly, if the Vikings, I think they play somebody terrible, but I wouldn't mind putting the Vikings in the out of power too. I just don't think they're good. I think they're Kirk Cousins, man. They're Kirk Cousins.
Did you see that stat that I sent you on him? Where he,
Yeah.
like all his numbers were even, 500 straight across the board.
Yeah,
So
I think that they've lucked out. Their defense is not. I think their defense is in the bottom 5 of the league.
yeah,
I think when they play the Cowboys, they're going to get crushed.
they're winning games. I mean, right now they're winning games.
So are the Giants. So are the Jets. Yeah, I don't believe in them either.
I'm going with your Jets being losing power.
Yeah.
Last week, I thought that was a good call.
Yeah, I think they may be completely out of. They may be on E, or whatever batteries do, 0.
I think they just run out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that would be E.
Yeah, they die.
All right. You got anything else for us?
Nope.
All right.
That's it.
Trade deadline's coming up. There might be something to talk about tomorrow when we do the other one. But for now, thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Jonathan, you have a good day. We'll talk soon.
You too.
All right.
All right.
Again, everybody.